Mike Yablano. It's Snapscale, formerly BBC Global Services. And we are doing a Ask the CEO of Snapscale questions. This is my favorite, not really webinar, my favorite thing that we do, because we actually take questions from the employees that they have of me, the company, and what our vision is. Now, as you don't know, the big part of Snapscale is that we really work with the production staff, all the employees, to tell them what's going on, because we feel that communication is the cornerstone to any good company. And a company that shares as much as possible with their employees gets the most amount of buy-in. And really, what's the worst thing to share with everybody what's going on so everybody can get on the same page and continue to push forward with the mission of the company. And the people that work with us on this webinar or podcast, whatever you call it nowadays, will know that it's to become the most compliant and best healthcare VA firm out there. And every day we strive to do just that. With that said, as you can see, I am at one of our offices in the Philippines on Valentine's Day. Yeah, that's okay. Been married for 18 years. My wife's fine with it as long as we make it. It's important that you know that, because I am an active CEO. I'm not phoning it in. My people don't phone it in, because we know in order to provide the best quality service to our clients that rely on us, not only to support their practices and clinics, but to provide the continuity so that they always have support, is I need to be here. My staff needs to be here, constantly working to provide that level. Because once we lose that level, we lose what we got. So now hopefully you guys understand why this webinar is important, because it's another way for me to touch the employees that support our clients and that pay all of our salaries. So with that said, Nathan, what do we got today?
Oh, Mike, I'm super excited to do this webinar with you. It's one of my favorite webinars that we do here at Snapscale as well. And we've got an incredible show lined up, because we took questions from our staff to provide this transparency for everybody that's watching online. I see a number of you guys that are watching online. This is an interactive participation as well. If at any point during the conversation while you're online with us, whether online live or online at replay, you feel compelled to ask a question or to share an answer to one of the questions that we ask, feel free to put it in the chat. We'll be monitoring the chat throughout the entire program and afterwards. So with that said, let's get started and jump right into this conversation. We're going to tackle some of the biggest questions that you have, that our staff has, about hiring, training, retention, HIPAA compliance. All the topics are on the table for today. Mike, I hope you put on your answering shoes today, because we've got all of the questions that came from a number of different people ready just to share with you. With that said, I'm going to
It's also important that we tell the audience that this is ad hoc. So I don't get the answers beforehand. I think part of what makes us special is our transparency. So this isn't scripted. This is real-time answers and real-time questions.
Yeah. These are the team submitted these questions, and Mike hasn't even seen them yet. So I'm super excited and interested to see what kind of answers come today. Hopefully all you guys can participate online. And with that said, before I ask Mike any questions, I'd like to ask you a question online. What is your biggest challenge when it comes to running your practice? If you're watching online, go ahead and throw it into the chat. Is it A, rising operational costs and staffing shortages? Is it reducing administrative burdens and improving operational efficiency? B. Is it C, attracting and retaining high quality staff members? Is it D, maintaining patient experience and managing the patient's experience and reducing no-shows? Or is it E, staying compliant with HIPAA and other regulations? Go ahead and drop your answers into the chat. Hopefully we can discuss those answers as we go throughout the entire show. What did you guys say? Put it in the chat. What is your biggest challenge? All right.
More than one.
Yeah, me too. My family would tell you I'm challenged. So there you go. All right. We're going to start with the industry evolution and Snapscale's role in the industry. Obviously, we've changed our name. We've gone from BBC Global to Snapscale. There was a reason for that. First question, though, is where do you see healthcare staffing heading in the next 5 years? And let's tie in this whole concept of why we switched from BBC Global to Snapscale.
Well, BBC Global to Snapscale first was because it's more in line with what we're doing. BBC Global, like any company, started out as a derivative of Brobisco LLC, as you probably some of our clients have in their invoices. And Brobisco LLC is simply brother's business company because I started out, my brother helped me out. He doesn't help me out anymore because he's doing something different, but Brobisco is the LLC. And then when we started getting into the whole outsourced staffing business, that's a whole other conversation. You know, when you build a business, the name in the beginning isn't the most important thing. It's really getting the right product, the right service going in the right way. And BBC Global Services was Brobisco, BBC, and then we're overseas, so Global Services. So it's fine. And the reason, and we've been very successful with that name because at the end of the day, your service is really what a lot of people care about. But as we got larger and we got more mature, we started getting some notices from a little company like BBC News, BBC World, like saying, are you guys part of the European, the UK network, the European network and stuff like that? And there was some confusion. And also I wanted to create a name really that made more sense as to what we do. So Snapscale was kind of a name about what do we want to do? We want to scale our business quickly, right? So scale it in a snap. And if you notice in our new logo, it's almost like a square and you take both sides and you can pull it like that. And it shows how you can easily scale your business. It's been a long time coming, as all everybody here knows. It probably took a couple of years to do it because, again, like everything that we do, if we're going to do it, I want to do it right. And I am extremely proud of it. I think it talks about what we do as a company. It's easy to understand, and I love the way the website looks. So that's how we got to Snapscale. When it comes to what he says, Nathan, they asked the industry evolution. Is that really what it's? What the question
next
was?
5 years. Where do you see the healthcare staffing heading in the next 5 years?
I think it's more. It's going to mostly be still the same high touch that people are going to need, because I still think as much as AI is out there, and to be clear, I don't have my head in the sand. AI is going to really help us. It already helps us do manual work easier and better. But when it comes to healthcare practice and when it comes to supporting doctors and patients, and you really need some level of human touch. So I still see that there's going to be a lot of human interaction. You're still going to have to, more texting maybe, but you still have to answer the phones. You still have to triage calls. You still have to deal with patients who have anxieties. You got to do all that stuff, and that's still going to be there. However, I think that technology is going to play a part to allow us to do this quicker, more efficiently. That not only just helps the companies and the practices from a cost perspective, but will also allow the patients to get information quicker as well. I think technology is going to really help us do things better, but I don't see it as taking away the human component to healthcare communication. Because at the end of the day, we're people, and people need people to convey messages. So my whole thing, after talking to people in the space as well, I really believe that it's going to grow better and better, and technology is going to allow us to do things more efficiently. And that's kind of how I see it, Nathan.
Yeah, absolutely, Mike. And that kind of ties right into the next question that was asked about the industry. One of the team members asked, what is Snapscale's top priorities for helping clinics scale efficiently? So when we look at our organization and you look at what we do, what are some of our top priorities for helping clinics scale?
We don't have the time for the answer, but I will give some highlights. The first thing is continuing always to fine tune our sales process. And what I mean by that is the biggest part of our business is to allow our clients to get what they need. So that all starts in sales, right? Identifying everything that the client needs in order to get done what they need to get done. So doing a lot more probing questions, doing a lot more what ifs, because whether or not you're staffing someone in your clinic in the US or overseas, like you need to make sure you get the right person. And to do that, you have to ask a lot of questions in order to figure out what you need. So we're always looking to evolve and fine tune what we're asking in order to provide the proper foundation, because if the foundation of the relationship is good, everything's terrific. All right. The second thing is as you know, we're HIPAA compliant. And like with everything that I've done in any of my business I've worked with, if you're going to do something, you do it right. Okay. You don't do things like half-heartedly. You don't wing it. And especially when it comes to doctors and patient confidentiality and proper communication, you have to be HIPAA compliant. And I am a bright person, but that's not my expertise. So before we even got into supporting the healthcare industry, I got a company to be our compliance company, which is digital compliance. And they're constantly looking at what we're doing and making sure we're doing things right and making sure that everything that we do is as good as it possibly could be to be compliant. So we don't have an issue and our clients don't have an issue. All right. So what does that mean? So with the evolution of the job market, people do want to work from home sometimes, right? And there's a big thing of working from home, whether or not it's in the US or it's in the Philippines, people want to work from home. And for lack of a better term, technology has made that possible, right? We all know that. If anything, COVID showed us that the world didn't fall apart due to technology, which was able to help us. But again, being a HIPAA compliant workforce, that our clients are looking for us to do that, there are safeguards that come into play. So it was always that in our offices is where we housed our HIPAA compliant workforce because it's where we could have the most amount of control. However, with, as I said, the change in the movement of work from home, I wanted something that can entice talent. And also, for lack of a better term, like just because work from home works well if it's controlled and it takes away the variables of sickness, right? So if you could provide a controlled environment, you're mitigating risk of illness. But again, I can't do that without control. So we worked with our compliance company to put together the first only compliant remote staffing offering called the Safe Base Initiative. And that allows us to hire people, have them work from home. So it increases our breadth of getting good people, but still remain HIPAA compliant. That is a very big part of us getting our clients the people they need, the costs that they need, and still keep that same level of compliance. So again, part of the Safe Base Initiative, this is a big part to discuss, and I'm not going off on it because it's big to let you know, is that not only are they compliant, but it's a hybrid, right? Everybody that's part of the Safe Base Initiative is within an hour of an office. So if God forbid there's, forget about like a compliance issue, if their internet goes down, right? We're in third world here, for lack of a better term. Internet goes down, their electricity goes down, they can come straight into the office, they plug right in, and they go to work. Because continuity is what our clients want too. So that is that is the biggest thing that we've done in order to provide the level of staff, quick turnaround, and it's the combination of getting to that remote environment that people want in a way that's compliant and in a way that allows us to have the control. In addition, it continues the level of culture that we push. Like a big part of what makes us special, Nathan, is the fact that we do spend a lot of time working with our talent, as I call it, right? Because this is talent, to make sure that they have what they need, that they're happy, that they're compensated well, that they have everything. So the biggest thing about working from home is that people get siloed, they get isolated, they forget that there's a whole company here to support them. So part of the Safe Base initiative not only is let them work from home compliantly, but part of it is a regular audit. So somebody who is trained and they have certified goes and visits the agent, making sure that they're compliant. So it's a visual inspection. But they don't just go in to find problems, right? They go in to spread our culture as well, because these people don't have the opportunity to be in our office. So they go in, and not only do they do the ocular inspection and do the checklist at the end of the day that gets fed into the system, the client gets it, we get it, compliance company, okay, Jim is compliant, but they spend time, they bring coffee, they bring donuts, they ask how they're doing, they discuss what we're doing as a company. We continue to make them feel like they're part of our family, because that's what keeps us different. And for honestly, that's what keeps our attrition so low, is our sense of community. So that is really the biggest thing that I say that we've done, if I've kind of gone off the reservation, which I do sometimes, right, to kind of help our clients get what they need, and a big innovation for us and in the industry.
Yeah, in the last 1 to 2 years.
Just ask me if I went off the reservation. We're good at that.
No. In the last 1 to 2 years, we've seen a rise in the digital patient influence, where the patient opinion leaders, the liaisons, U.S. Pharma and hospitals, hiring chiefs, whatever, they all have said that we're becoming more of a valuable resource for clinics and practices to focus on, more than the needs of the patient, right? So we have as a culture kind of shifted into making sure that we have the right influence and do the right things by, each clinic, each healthcare practice, and those types of things. So this HIPAA compliance is a big deal. In fact, we've got a webinar that will be coming up in March, where we have specialists in HIPAA compliance that are coming on. We have the person who does our audits, and then we also have the people who they have very unique programs that use AI to monitor and to help improve personal health compliance and audit trails. And so this is going to be a big shift in the industry. It's things that are coming up, and your passion for HIPAA compliance and doing the right thing is noticed by the staff. And so I think that the overarching question that I have about it, and then we'll kind of get on to the next thing, is, Mike, in the industry, how have you seen HIPAA change even in the last 2 years?
I see it's still you're seeing clinics get, for lack of a better term, jammed up with audits, but it's still kind of not really mainstream yet. Like, you see some people getting audited, you see some people not getting audited, but we're constantly seeing that there's more and more anxiety, for lack of a better term, over this, because patient information is getting more and more in the forefront. And I know it's going to sound kind of silly, but if you don't notice, every day you get something in the mail saying, oh, your information has been breached. And it's becoming like a joke, right? It's like, oh, your information has been breached. They have your email address. We're all getting sick of it. And I'm not going to say the government, but there's more of a push now to do more protection of patients' information. So being HIPAA compliant, and that's a whole other, we'll talk about it. or working towards being HIPAA compliant as a practice is the most important thing that you can do, because one day you could get a knock on the door saying, show me your what is it? Like your logs, right? Basic logs. If you don't have logs, you're gonna get a huge fine. If you have logs, you won't. It's really starting to become a bigger thing. And this is the time that you really have to spend the time looking at it. There's the Cures Act that just came out. That's going to really be more stringent as to what you can share and what you can't share. We're going to be talking a lot about that, Nathan, on the next podcast about the Cures Act and how it feeds into HIPAA. So not to be an alarmist, because I'm not saying it's still something that's brewing, but it's super important to keep your eye on it. And it's an ever-changing compliance that I know I need a consulting firm to do the legwork to make sure that we're doing things the right way. And simply, as a service company that's offering HIPAA compliant healthcare virtual assistants, it's my job. So I don't have the luxury of saying I can't make that number one, because at the end of the day, it's the most important thing that we provide, in addition to the best reps that push that HIPAA compliance forward in the work that they do. So that's what I would say to it. I mean, we've spent so much time with this. Again, there's a lot of companies that try to do this, but they'll send people will look to sign the BAA with foreign entities. That doesn't protect. I'm not a lawyer. That doesn't protect you the way it should. Everybody that comes to us, they sign a BAA with us, a U.S. company. So what that means is we're all in this together. And that's what we're selling. We're selling HIPAA compliant service, the people that can do the work, and continuity, Nathan. And you need all of it for this thing to work.
100%. Before we go too much further and we get into more of the questions that were asked from the staff, which these are good questions, aren't they, Mike?
Another thing, I love it that the staff actually has to ask us questions, which is amazing.
Yeah, fantastic. This is the interactive piece, guys. In the chat function, what's one thing that could make your clinic operations run smoother? And I've got a series of different tasks that could be done. For instance, streamlining insurance verification and billing. Would that make your clinic run smoother? How about that was point A. So put that in the comments if point A is streamlining insurance verifications and billing. Point B, reducing patient no-shows with better scheduling and follow-up. Would that make your clinic run smoother? How about handling inbound calls and patient inquiries more efficiently? That's point C. Or point D, offloading administrative tasks like data entry and EHR updates or EMR updates. And then lastly, how about point E, improving patient experience with faster response times, if you could get back to patients faster? Which one of those points would you say would make your operations run smoother if you could make sure that those were taken care of? What do you guys think? Put those in the chat. Oh, you guys are...
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mike.
It's funny too, Nathan, because we service, all different types of specialties, and each specialty may answer something different, which is very interesting. Even though everybody is looking to provide the best patient care possible, it's so funny that as we deal with different specialties, everybody has a different thing that is a hot button. But I mean, all of this is important.
Absolutely. So we dealt with the future of where you see the industry going, kind of our business, things that we're putting in place in order to make sure that we're integrating into the industry properly, to help clinics feel comfortable knowing that their data and their HIPAA are secure and protected because of the stringent laws that we follow, but then also the practices we follow. Our team also had questions that were related to culture and growth of our company as we grow. And so, because Mike, as well as I do, culture is an imperative part of business. It's what helps with retention. It's what helps keep people motivated. And so the first question here was asked from a team member: how does Snapscale ensure that healthcare virtual assistants are trained successfully as part of the culture?
That's an interesting question. And you probably know that. No, but it's a delicate balance, because what we do is we have a couple of options. We either do something called a client-led training, which is where the client will actually train the staff on what they want them to do. Or we have Snap Academy, where we train them on certain services to make them plug and play. I hate that term, but more plug and play to the practice that doesn't want to do it. 90% or more of our people want to do the training because, again, a big part of what we're doing is we're selling not just a healthcare VA and continuity, but we're selling a new team member to this clinic. So they want to make sure that they're doing it in the way that works for their practice. Because as I've known over the years, you can know how to do patient verification, confirmations, answer the phone and triage. But what makes practices special and different is the way that they cultivate their staff. And everybody, singing in the right tune is important. So they want to do the training. Now, again, as a managed service, right? Because at the end of the day, Nathan, after the training, we have to manage the people and we need to be able to provide the continuity. We need to understand it. And also we need to be able to connect it so that the training that's being done by the US staff, the client, is actually resonating well with the staff that they're hiring. Because like I said in the very beginning, foundation is key for this to work, right? So we provide what I would call client-led training, but really what it is we give a framework on how to do things the best way in order to kind of get the message across. So really, there's no secret to this. We provide a framework of the best way to train, but we also are constantly touching during the training on the agent. Do you have any questions? On the client. Do you have any questions? On the agent. At the end of the day, everything good? The client, everything good. Because again, the communication is key to make sure that this works. In addition, we record all the training sessions with a couple of services that are AI, that are HIPAA compliant. And at the end of the training session, we create a knowledge base and training guide that we provide back to the client, because why not? We're all in this together. And we use it because we can ask them for any new person they want to bring on, or if there's an issue with the agent, like they're sick or they leave, we can get a new agent and train them ourselves, learning from client-led training, so that the doctor or the front desk staff doesn't have to go out of their day to retrain again. That is really kind of how we do it in order for the client-led training. It's a great thing because a lot of times these practices and clinics don't have the time to put together a knowledge base, right? Or a training guide. So it's a good thing that we provide to them as, partners, so they can, if they want to hire someone internally, great, that's awesome. They at least now have this training guide. So it's terrific. And for us, we can provide that continuity that they need. And if they say, oh my God, we have an overrun patient, we need another person to take calls. Okay, Jim, do you want to train him? Or do you want to train him? No, you don't, Mike, you train him. And then we can do it. And then we become a real partner to them, which is what we pride ourselves on. Because remember, most of our clients are small to medium-sized practices. And their main job and why they went into it is to handle patients and do patient care. This piece of operations isn't in their sweet spot, right? So we have to be able to help them with that. And that's what we do. Now, the Snap Academy is something where we will take somebody and we will turn them into a healthcare virtual assistant based on the needs of the client, right? So someone says, look, Mike, I need 5 people to just do verification of benefits. They need to know prompt EMR. We're like, okay, then we train the people. And we kind of say, okay, this is what you do, this is what they do, and it's done, and they don't have to do the training themselves. That's an option that we provide as well. It's whatever flavor that the client wants. Because remember, we have to provide them with the staff, but we have to make it in a way that takes as limited, that works within whatever framework that works for them, so they can continue moving on with their business in the way they need to. So as much as it's funny, as much as we are controlled and as much as we have a structure, we're also flexible in order to be able to onboard, create the foundation of this relationship in the way that works for our clients. It's kind of like providing a kickstand. So it's like if we could always kind of help out in that way. And that's what's kind of really made us really special.
You know, Mike, it reminds me back to whenever you and I first met. I was working for a hearing healthcare practice, and we were scaling and growing. We had grown from 7 locations, I think 12 or 13 locations at that time. We ultimately ended up scaling to 47 retail locations with the hearing healthcare retail shops. Your organization was instrumental. That's why we're working together today. Your organization was instrumental because you helped provide representatives to answer phone, to reschedule patients, to set appointments for hearing care practices, from internal leads that had come in, to manipulate schedules, to do a variety of different other tasks that we couldn't even find US-based people at reasonable wages that we were paying for the role. We couldn't find people to even show up and do the work. And your people, they showed up every day. They had smiles on their faces. They made our team better. We were able to interact with them just like they were our own, they worked right for our organization. They just happened to work in a different office. And so it was fun because I remember getting a big screen monitor and we had everybody on the TV and we would do team meetings together and we would include them in the team meetings. And, your organization was a major part of how that happened. And I remember we're talking about training and how people get trained. I remember back, I did a lot of the initial training with your team and with our team. But the thing is, and I think a lot of organizations make this mistake. They think they train somebody one time and they show them how to do something one time and the person learned it. And I think training personally, this is my own personal opinion on it. This isn't Snapscale's opinion, but this is my opinion. I think training is something that's done consistently day in and day out over weeks, months, and years of working with people on finding their strengths, their weaknesses, the opportunities and threats with each person and helping extenuate their strengths, leaning into their strengths with them, making sure they're in the right role, working with their weaknesses and helping to identify things that shouldn't be on their plate, looking at the opportunity in your organization and how their strengths align with that opportunity, and then any threats with that person or with the organization that would keep that person from succeeding, and constantly providing training ongoing. How do you feel about that? That's my own personal question.
Yeah, because remember, it's funny you brought up our genesis.
Yeah,
but it brought up a really big part of it is there's a big also, well, with if you remember this correctly, there's a big political angle to this as well, right? The biggest part with your organization, which is a lot of our companies, is buy-in. So the doctors can say, "Oh my God, this is great. We need to bring this on, Mike." And I know, what I'm going to say right now. And the front desk can say to the doctors, "Oh yeah, we need this. We need this. We need this." And then all of a sudden, there's this story in their head, like, "Oh my God," and this happened in your case. We're just training our replacements. When 9 times out of 10, it's augmenting of staff. That's all the doctors in the clinics are looking for. So what we do a lot of too, which is a big part, is create buy-in to the staff that we're just part of your team. Because, if you could provide the best service, if the people that are supposed to implement it don't want to do it, it's worthless. So like with a lot of it, we provide that buy-in, and we show them how we're just part of the team. And it's a big part of what we do that stands us out as well than just, hiring from another company that just connects the dots, right? Here's your outsourced staff. They can do patient verification. Here's doctor. A lot of times there's a lot of pushback and they're like, "Oh, we don't outsource." We are the ones that facilitate that relationship. They have the relationship with us. Remember, our front office is American, North American. Not to say that we're any better, because there's a lot of reasons we're not, but it makes the communication and the foundation and the onboarding so much easier, because it's easier to relate to somebody of like culture, especially when you're running a busy practice, right? So we're able to really create the buy-in that the doctors and the head and the practice managers need in order to allow this amazing augmentation of staff to permeate into their clinics and offices. So that's really like a big piece to it that I'm glad you brought up, because that was a big, I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that we were really into that and was constantly working with that together, it would have been very hard for the buy-in to get buy-in from the clinics, from the center people. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of buy-in and center people, everybody wants career. They don't just want a job. They want to know what's the long term that I have with an organization. And so people in our team asked the question. I don't know if they did it because they knew that we were doing a show and that's why we were putting all this together, but it was a nice question. What incentives and career paths do we have to retain top talent at Snapscale?
It's a great question. And it also leans into part of our management style as well. We talked about client-led training. We talked about the type of training. So what happens after training, right? So what happens after training is we provide some sort of key metrics that they have to live by in order to do the job correctly. All right. So who's going to help them? We have management. What kind of management? We have something that we call account managers. So what that does is that we take virtual assistants that have been there for a while, right? That have proven to be excellent in what they do, that have gotten multiple accolades from their clients, that have done things that have a lot of times transformed the clinics and showed them things to do better. And we mate them like a buddy system to the newer people. It's like a really cool way that it's a buddy system. So when the newer person is working after training, and we have regular management to make sure that they're there and they're there to come, they have these buddies that are doing what they're doing, but at a higher level, to answer questions, to really know what they're doing. So if they're stressed out, if they're burnt out, if they don't know what's going on, they feel comfortable pinging this person saying, hey, Dr. Johnson gave me this task. I'm not sure how to do it. What do you think? And that's the culture that we foster that continues to help everybody, right? Because the person that's been there for a while as a virtual assistant is showing that not only they're having a great time because they love the clients and that sort of stuff, but they're getting a promotion, they're getting paid more money. They're able to share what they know with the newer guys. It's one big family. And it's a way that it promotes accountability, it promotes communication in a non-threatening manner that you don't see a lot. In a lot of call centers, right, you have what they call the rank and file, which is people that do the work, and you have the people on top, they're just, saying, oh, where are you? What are you doing? Blah, 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 blah. Very, very reactionary, very authoritative. When in our standpoint, we look at them as, we constantly refer, Nathan, as client service people.
As the talent, yeah.
They're the talent. And we're here to support the talent. So that is how we do things like differently. And that's how our management runs, because we're all working together with the main goal to support the client and to support the practice. And also, I may have went off a little bit, but we incentivize everybody, in addition to the good pay that they get, the healthcare benefits, all the stuff that we give them to make sure that they stay, right? Because not only am I a great guy and altruistic, but if the people stay, they continue to provide service for the client, and the client's paying us to get them the best people that want to stick around. And if you're cheap, if you don't provide a good wage, you don't provide good benefits, I don't care if you're in the US or you're in the Philippines, people are going to look. They're going to keep looking. So we always provide the best because we want to keep the best. And that is not just, like I said, that's not just the pay and the benefits and the double pay in Christmas, but it's fostering a community where everybody talks and they feel comfortable and they all know that they're working for the people that feed us all, which is the clients.
Yeah.
And it's a very, very, very healthy way to look at things. And it works out very well. That's why our attrition is very low. That's why most of our, not most, because we have, but a lot of the new people come from referrals. And last year, I don't have the exact numbers. Remember, Nathan, a ton of new full-time employees, we call them, were referrals from other clients and were existing clients that added more people because they had more need. What better way to show that what we're doing is working than looking at those stats as well? So it really, as they say, people say, oh, you're spending too much money on people. If anything, I can prove that everything that we give, everything that we do, all the employee engagements and everything like that, that make me feel good, right? Because I love providing and seeing like these people have a quality of life that they never expected to have. But at the end of the day, the percentage is more that I'm spending is actually making us all more money because they're not leaving. So it is a really good formula for success that I've tried to tell other call centers, that spend time, spend money on your people, treat them like humans, because you know what? At the end of the day, it makes everybody work. It makes it work for everybody. Don't just look at the dollars that you're spending. Look at the global system. Look at what it's doing. And if you do the math at the end of the day, you just spend 30%, 40%, 50% more on the people, you're going to make more money because people are happy. And if they're happy, they stay. And that's all we need. And at the end of the day, right, what are we selling? We're selling HIPAA compliant staff members that are awesome. And if you want awesome people, you got to pay them.
Yeah, I love that. It reminds me of the quote from John Maxwell where he said, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I think that we are doing a great job of building a culture of helping our team members and your team members, guys online, know that we care. Guys, we are talking with Mike Yablonowitz, the CEO of Snapscale, formerly BBC Global Services. And we are talking today in a whole segment show that we're calling Ask the CEO or Ask the Owner. And we submitted a bunch of questions to our team members, and that's where these questions are coming from that Mike is being asked today as our team formulated these questions and providing some transparency and depth for you about Snapscale and the organization. With that said, guys that are watching online, throw it in the chat, whether you're watching live or on replay right now. Throw it in the chat. Guess the growth. How many healthcare clinics does Snapscale support? What do you think? What do you think? What's the total number of healthcare clinics that Snapscale supports? I'll answer it like this. It's less than 2,000. So give you the opportunity to put that into the comments. And who knows, if you put your comment in the comments, I might come back and DM you with the specific answer of how many healthcare clinics across the
You'll get 2 baseball caps when we see you at the next show that we
next conference that we go to. Yeah, we will give you 2 hats. But I will also get you the answer in your DM if you put a comment online. I'll give you the exact number. Okay, so the next segment is a 2-part segment. All right. It's all about hiring and retaining top healthcare virtual assistants. So I'm going to ask a couple of questions. Hopefully we can go through quickly because we're coming up on 45 minutes right now on these questions. We'll go through them quickly, Mike, and then we will come back and we'll ask the audience a question, and then we'll go back to part 2 of this but these are important that the team wanted to get through. So how does Snapscale ensure healthcare virtual assistants they have a work-life balance?
A work-life balance is exactly what we do. Exactly what we talk about is our management style. So like the biggest thing that we do is we're constantly communicate. Like I said, the account managers to the newer people, they're constantly taking their temperature, seeing what's going on. If they see something, they say something. Because remember, a lot of times our clients don't know, right? So they would say, oh my God, Jim, rep's name's Jim, is great at this. Let's give him something else. Let's give him something else. Let's give him something else. We constantly check that to make sure that Jim is doing exactly what is on the statement of work. Not that we're a stickler, but we want to protect our clients from burning out Jim. So we're always checking to make sure that we're doing it. Because a lot of times, like I said before, these are small businesses. They're just so happy to find people to do work. And these people, for the most part, are so wonderful and accommodating. In the smaller practices, the doctor's like, you could do this. They're like, okay, do this. Okay. And then before you know it, they're totally overworked. They're overburdened. And it had nothing to do. The doctor wasn't trying to save money. He was like, oh my God, this guy is amazing. So we're constantly checking as part of our management, like, hey, doc, like, it's awesome, but you need to start looking at finding an additional person for your clinic. And just like, Nathan, I hate when people do this. To me, we don't just come with problems, we come with solutions, right? So we'll say, hey, doc, like, look at all the stuff that they're doing now. Like, we think that this needs an additional X amount, right? So here is the top people that we think, we know, would work perfectly to add to your clinic. We give them the interviews where we do the visual interviews. So they actually record the interviews so you can see the people. And then the doctors can pick them and be like, you're right, Mike, we need one more person. Done. So that stops the burnout. I don't know if any of you on here have worked with outsourced staffing before, and one day they're there and they're great, and the next day they're gone. And they have a family emergency because they're burnt out, they're overworked, and they don't know how to tell you they're stressed because all they want to do is please. That's our piece. And as a management, to be able to help bridge that gap. And we do it great. But that's not really, is there any specific questions I feel like I don't want to do a sales thing here. Like, is there anything specific to let's get to some of the questions from the agents. And let me answer, like, is there any kind of fun ones or anything like that we can do? It's already like 50 minutes.
Yeah. So I'll ask you one more question about hiring and training. But one of the questions was how do you ensure that the VAs are staying engaged and motivated culturally?
We do a ton of employee engagement. When I say employee engagement, we do a lot of gaming, structured. We have a full-time person that is all she does is engagement as part of HR. So she's constantly coming up with like different gaming, different ways to bring the culture together, different ways to engage people. That's her whole job, to keep people energized. And a lot of times we bring the clients into it as well. Like, they love it because, again, the clients want to make sure that these people are happy, right? Because they want to make sure they're happy. Because not only are they good people, but happy people stick around. So we're constantly doing different ways to keep people motivated and happy. We also do like a lot of, as much as we provide good incentives and stuff like that, and they should know this, is that we also do certain types of like bonuses. Like for right now, we provide a bonus monthly for everybody has perfect attendance and is good to their fellow man. That's more subjective, but remember, we're all about continuity, but also being a good person. So that's one of the things that we're doing right now. And then in our town hall that we do once a quarter, where it's our gala, where we talk about how we are as a company and what we're doing, and we showcase successes of our people and of our company. That's where we showcase who made perfect attendance and who made this benefit, this bonus. That's one of the things that we do constantly, in addition to the regular, compensation we do, just to keep things fresh and keep things motivated. And Arya, who's doing an amazing job with all these games and all these, engagements as we do, the parties and that sort of stuff to build the culture, make people feel good. We're constantly coming out with little things in order to kind of push the agenda of coming to of being accountable to your clients and being a good person, right? That's what it all comes down to.
Yeah. How long was the flight to the Philippines, by the way?
That's, my joke is by the time I leave my house, I get to my office 35 hours. Yeah, that's what it is. But the first leg is 17 and a half hours from JFK to Manila. They finally have a direct flight to Manila. And I got to sit there for 4 hours and, wait. And then it's like, 2 hours to Davao, where the two offices are at.
Wow.
It's great. It's awesome.
That's
not bad to be like,
do you like flying?
6 feet tall, like in a plane for 17 and a half hours. It's great. It's not great. It's wonderful. It's great.
Yeah.
But again, when I'm here though, like it's really amazing place. If you have the opportunity to go to the Philippines, which I'm going to make you go there soon, Nathan, it's an amazing place, amazing people, great culture, super good, except I have a wife and I have 2 young kids and they're kind of a little upset I'm here. So if I was in my 20s, this would be awesome. But now it's a little bit of guilt, but it's awesome. But how do you run a company though? How do you run a company if you can't touch it every once in a while? I may be Gen X, I'm an old man, but as much as I have amazing people that run the business day to day, and I'm running the play, you have to show up and you have to touch it. You have to there's so much that gets done when I'm here for a little while. Not that it's doing bad, but when we can all come together as a management team, it's just fire. Did I just say that?
You just used fire. I used fire in my post on LinkedIn, Mike.
Terrible.
I said that this webinar was going to be fire. So there you go.
I don't think I'm better than Albert or Jean or MJ and stuff like that, but I'm awesome. So when I'm there and we're able to work together in person, magic happens and we're able to do certain cool things. It's just a long flight. It's expensive, but at the end of the day, this is all parts of what makes us awesome, right? Yeah. And if we want to be awesome, we have to do things better than the next company. So,
all right.
Until my run rate gets lower, I'm going to keep working. So here I am.
For those of the audience, I got a one word that you can put in the comments here. What's one word? How do you feel about managing administrative tasks in your clinics? Go ahead and put that feeling in the comments. Some of you may love it. I'm interested to see all the comments that come in from those of you that manage things, administrative tasks on your own. All right. We're going to lightning round the rest of these questions here because I know we're coming up on an hour and I want to be very, very cognizant of everybody's time. I want to finish up with part 2 of how do we hire, retain top virtual assistants. Mike, the question is that how do we hire people? Do we offer incentives for people to come work for us? How do we find people? I guess is part of that question too. How do we hire?
We have a dedicated talent acquisition group that goes out and searches for people the regular way, LinkedIn. We do a lot of referral-based stuff. We do a lot of Facebook, what's it called again, recruiting. But it really is at this point, we're lucky because of the way we invest in our people. A lot of our workers come from existing workers, right? And it's awesome. Yeah. However, with that being said, I am here, and Saturday we're doing a job fair, which I love. We do a job fair at least, I think it's at least once a quarter. And we invite anybody to come in and we interview them, and we have something called Hire on the Spot that if they're good, we hire them. And, if we don't have a place to place them now, it's fine. They continue to train. They get better. They learn our culture. And luckily, based on what we're doing and and our reputation, we have a lot of demand for good talent. So we are very blessed in that. So between the regular scouting out with the regular ways and our referral basis of our existing clients, our existing employees, and then these job fairs, man, and we had last job fair we had that was 2 or 3 months ago. We had 100 people that came in looking for a job. How humbling is that? With we didn't do a lot of advertising. It was just getting the word out there, and people just showed up. And this time, we're expecting a lot more. We have staging areas. We have someone now with a pitch counter, right? Because we don't want to get overwhelmed, because we have to really spend time with these people, because we're not just trying to find anybody. We're trying to find really good people that can do certain tasks. So we have a pitch counter, and after a certain amount of time, then we have a staging area where those people go, and we have coffee, we have donuts, we have refreshments, that they wait until they have their time to come and share who they are and what would make them special for us. But luckily, we don't have a really big issue. But it's anxiety though, because the more accounts you have, the more that stress is on talent acquisition, right? So, and they're all part of the equation. So we have to make sure that they don't burn out, just like we don't want, our talent to burn out.
100%. Guys watching online, if you could eliminate one task from your daily workload, what would that one task be? What's that one thing that you do every day that you really just hate doing, right? That's really the question. Put it in the comments, and we would be we're going to be excited to respond to each one of those comments for you guys. I do want to make sure that the staff gets these questions answered. This is the lightning round of fun and unexpected questions. We got about maybe 6-7 minutes left. Mike, what's the most surprising thing that you've learned about virtual staffing?
Most surprising thing I've learned. Is that two things. Well, it's weird. The first thing is that if you really spend time on foundation and training, you can do just as good with technology now, being virtual, than you can in the office. And the second thing is having a multiple an international company. Everybody's the same. People have a preconceived notion that just because you're in the Philippines, you're different. Or if you're in India, you're different. You're not. We're all the same people.
Yeah. What would Snapscale's mascot be?
Snapscale's mascot?
Yeah, if we had to pick one, what would it be?
That's what someone actually asked.
They asked the question. I'm asking you.
I would leave that to committee. But
if you had to pick it.
I think a monkey. I like monkeys. They're cool. I'll work on that. Who's going to do that? I like that. Monkeys are good.
Yeah. Best book for a clinic owner on outsourcing.
Best book for a clinic owner on outsourcing.
Yeah.
I can't think of it. Inside Outsourcing by Derek. So I don't remember his last name. And running remote. I would say anybody that's looking to outsource, read the book Running Remote. It's awesome. It talks about how if you really spend time building your foundation and putting together metrics, and you can do anything remote. I don't fully believe you can do anything remote, but there's a lot you can do remote now. Running Remote, great book.
Outside of working and flying to the Philippines, interest and hobbies?
Interest in hobbies is I love spending time with my wife and my friends, right? Like the regular, going to dinner. I do love basketball and football. I love going to the Knicks games. I hope I don't lose any clients. Knicks are doing great this year. Both sons are big sports people. My older son is a huge Knicks fan, and I love to be able to take him to Madison Square Garden, and we try to go to as many games as we possibly can, or I can possibly afford, because for everybody that has kids like you do, Nathan, anything you can have a bond with your child over, you just try to do that, right? Because as they get older, they have different, They have different things they want to do. And if there's still a few things that they could want to do with you, you do it. And I like a good martini too. I love a good martini.
And going to concerts with your friends. I know that's probably
yeah. Ethan and I are going to concert. We're going to concert in August, right? I'm going to try to get him to go to a different concert too.
Yeah,
he's always good for that.
I thought that this question, I just wanted to bring this up because I want to make sure that Jessica, Jessica, I'm sure that you're working in healthcare and you're busy, and I want to make sure I'm honorable of your time. And I thought this was a good question for everybody, so I want to bring it up and make sure I get it answered. Dealing with insurances in regards to billing and AR. We do this all the time, don't we, Mike? You want to speak to that a little bit?
Dealing with insurances in regards to billing in AR.
Yeah, can we do like insurance collections and billing and stuff 100%. Like that?
Yeah. So okay, I understand. So the question is, we don't do billing right now. We don't do billing because, again, like anything else, I need to be an expert to be able to do it, and I don't want to mess with people's money. What we do, though, is we do have a U.S.-based billing person that manages the healthcare VAs that are specific in assisting our clients billing people, like AR. They can do anything with billing, right? But they have to be managed by the client. So we do all of the tasks for billing, but the client is responsible for the actual physical billing, if that makes any sense. So I may not have answered that correct. Dealing with insurance in regards to, what did you say again? Yeah, no, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. And we definitely do insurance verifications, and we definitely do work with different insurance companies all across the United States. So that's not a problem. We're not medical billing encoders, but if you have medical bills and codes, we can definitely put the information into the software and submit it for you on your behalf and things like that.
So just to reiterate again, like, you can find overseas, and this is the big thing to say to anybody thinking about outsourcing, people that can do a lot of cool stuff, right? But if you can't check it, you could be up for a disaster. So we get great medical billers, right? But we're not going to do the billing because we do not have the expertise to actually physically, I don't want to take responsibility for that. But like for a lot of our clinics, they're a small clinic and their husband or wife does the billing, and they're like, I don't want them to do that anymore. We want to hire a healthcare VA from you that knows how to do billing, that can aid him or her in that. And then Shayna in the US just checks that VA, right? And make sure they're doing it all and talks to the client. But the onus for doing it the right way is still with the client. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, and Jessica said we answered her question about insurance verifications as well. Good.
Okay, good.
Thank you. I appreciate you asking the question right away online, Jessica. And anybody else that has a question that's watching live right now, you're welcome to go ahead and submit your questions. I do appreciate, we're right at 1 hour and 3 minutes, so I do appreciate Mike's time today. Appreciate all of your guys' time online. Anybody else online?
I can't see the questions, but I see that there's a lot of questions. So, like, I invite anybody to, I guess you'll tell them that, to like ask us any questions. I mean, because educate's a good thing to everybody here. It's not like, when it comes to outsourced staffing, knowledge is power. And for anybody that's Gen X will understand that. But getting information is the most important thing. There's a lot of times we spend time with people just talking to them about how it works, talking to them about how it can possibly work within their practice. And they may not call me, they may not call us, but they'll call us in 2 months, right? But if you don't have all the information, you don't ask all of the questions, then you're bound to miss something when you take on this opportunity to augment your staff with outsourced staffing, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. And guys, I got about, just so you know, for those that are watching online, I want to be honorable and respectful of your time. I got about maybe 10 more minutes of information to cover from BBC Global Services perspective. I do want to ask
Snapscale. Come on, Snapscale.
Yeah, formerly BBC Global Services, Snapscale's perspective. But I want to be respectful of your time and let you know where we're at. Okay. And one of the people online did ask, what's your favorite thing to do when you're in the Philippines, when you visit the Philippines? Outside of seeing your staff. Obviously, we know that you love to go to your offices and see the staff.
But I really at this point, I'm all business, and I am very neurotic male. So I'm here for a certain amount of time. I don't want to get sick. Like, I don't want to get jammed up in any way. So I really do. I'm very conservative in what I do. I usually eat in the hotel. I'm boring, right? But I don't want to, do anything that's going to possibly impact what I come to do. Unlike, people don't know this, but the Philippines is amazing, and they have malls just like here. But I do spend a lot of time with the staff, and that is what I'm supposed to do. That's my job. And honestly, I only have a certain amount of things that I can do. There's only a certain amount of time I can come. So I have a responsibility to get things done. Maybe when I get more time, I can do it. But right now, it really is just kind of doing the task at hand, which is being one with the staff and seeing what I can do to help support them get to continue to be the best that we're doing. I know it's a boring answer, but I can tell you a little known fact is, since I've been here for the first time since 2015, right, where being neurotic, I would only go to Starbucks before I came to the office because that was controlled. I mean, the hotels are great, but that now between my hotel and the office, just tell you how things are going. There are 3 Starbucks. There's 2 7-Elevens. There's a Dunkin' Donuts. So it's definitely a lot more things to choose from than they used to be. But yeah, that's I'd love to be able to do more.
Perfect. Guys, I see more questions that are coming in online. I want to be honorable and respectful of everybody's time. I promise you only 10 more minutes. We got 4 minutes left of that. I want to let you know that we are going to do another webinar on the 27th. If you have more questions, feel free to join us on the webinar on the 27th. In the meantime, if you would put in the comments right now, what's your biggest takeaway from today? If you still have questions, throw them in the comments. I'll come back and DM you with the answers. However, what is your biggest takeaway from today? Go ahead and put that in the comments for us. What did you learn? What did you know? What would you prefer to know? That kind of stuff. What was your biggest takeaway? There, let's go ahead and do that. And guys, last but not least, there is some next steps. So if this is of interest to you, and learning that there's an organization out there, Snapscale, formerly BBC Global Services, Snapscale, that can help you scale your practice and your organization with staff members doing front office tasks, the different tasks that we do, insurance verification, scheduling, like you just heard about, billing, be able to do data entry, EMR updates. We do a variety of different like responding to patients online with like systems like Weave and Spruce. And we do a variety of different things that are these repetitive tasks that take hours of your time or your staff's time, and you need somebody to help with those things in your office. If you can identify tasks that need to be done, they can be done remotely, and we can show you how to do it. Just scan that QR code or go to snapscale.com/start and schedule an appointment with an expert. Let one of our outsourcing experts walk through the process of identifying which task, what needs to be done, how long it's going to take. And that information will significantly be well worth your time. Whether you decide to go with us or not, the opportunity to have the conversation will be educational for you as well. If you've learned a lot from today's Ask the Owner, Ask the CEO, you'll learn that much more just by meeting with one of our team members who can walk you through the process of what we need in order to actually make this happen. So again, go to snapscale.com/start, or you can scan the QR code that's on your screen. Again, I do appreciate you guys joining us today live. I'm going to let Mike finish up with some additional words, but I want to give you guys, I'm going to keep talking long enough for you guys to scan the QR code and go to snapscale.com/start if that's what you want to do to start that conversation. Go ahead, Mike.
And I just have to say that this is something that is, I always say is bought, for lack of a better term. It's not sold. So like all of our clients that we have ask questions and they learn, and we're here to kind of figure out whether or not it's a fit for the practice and how it's a fit. So it's a lot of times, like, it's not a fit. Like I said before, it's not a fit right now, but the more that you know, the better prepared you are if it's ever a thing that you're looking for. So feel free to call us, call anybody, get information, because anybody that says that outsourced staffing is something that is you don't have to prepare for will be lying to you. It's something, or is it something that you don't have to think about or plan, is a lie. It's like anything else. You got to work at it. And the more information you get, the better. So ask us questions, ask anybody you want, because you have to be ready for it. We're going to actually have a webinar, it's important to say, where there are clients that we've had for years where we're going to have a webinar all about how it's not perfect always at first, right? Because it's not always, but like with humans, everything's not perfect always at first. But being a managed service provider, we work with the client to do it. So it's important that you get as much information you can, be educated as to what you're looking for, because you never, ever, 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 ever want to outsource problems. And it's our job as a managed service provider and any other managed service provider out there to make sure, mitigate you outsourcing problems, right? And that is the biggest takeaway I have from all of this is make sure you do your due diligence until you're comfortable before you sign up with any service. And in addition, treat your staff wonderfully. Treat your staff like they're part of your team. Just because they work for Snapscale doesn't mean that they're not part of your team. And that's what we provide. So just like we're here, like with these webinars, is Ask the CEO, which again it seems to be more of a sales pitch this time, Nathan, which is interesting, at least to me, because I'm very sensitive. We constantly touch our employees through engagements, through webinars, through town halls, through all that sort of stuff, in order for them to continue to feel like they're part of something special, that they're part of a place that takes care of them, that they're part of a place that cares about who they are and what they're doing. And like I said before, it may work out great for them, but it works out great for all of us too, because they stick around. So don't ever forget the people that are in the trenches helping out your practice. They're the ones that put food on the table and the ones that give me a business. And on the flip side, give our clients the support they're looking for.
Yeah, that's great. All right, Mike, any final thoughts and last words, and we'll finish up today. Thank you guys for joining us online.
Thank you so much, everybody. And use this as a resource.